Okie dokie. What's up, YouTubers? You probably want to know why I'm putting this video up here. Okay, so basically, this is what I'm really gonna really honestly talk about. Okay, so in this last video about Gan, how powerful he really is, it really come to be that he's really outside of creation. Okay, because as far as I looked up, it said that he was omnipotent, omnipresent, and it said nothing about him actually creating Pennywise. In fact, I looked at a novel, Susanna. I looked at a novel about the Song of Susanna, and it basically says that Pennywise, well, it didn't say that, but some fans, they did not speculate it, but if you read the book clearly, it basically is saying that Pennywise basically came from this beach. Okay, this beach that all of the monsters was from, and like each of those seven beams in the Dark Tower basically represent, well, possibly stood for each monster. And at the bottom of the Dark Tower in those worlds, there's an invisible world, and they saying that world is actually Pennywise. So from what they speculated, but I'm gonna put that in a comic section, so for you guys to read. But this is basically for those people who actually thinks like using feats are literally necessary in a video. This is basically for those people who really don't know how to scale characters from the lowest form of fighting to the biggest battle throughout the entire macroverse. Okay, so let's go with step one. The situation is Trigon and Pennywise. I'm going to give Pennywise a highball in his true form. Let's just say Pennywise can absorb darkness. I mean, it was already stated in the Stephen King book that Pennywise consumes creation. Okay, so that means he consumes all of the evil, he consumes all of the darkness, everything. He literally consumes everything, okay? He consumes every single thing in the imaginations with it. As far as I'm concerned, according to the Stephen King book and novelties, like I told you before, it said nothing about, and I've even watched Your Favorite Villain, okay? Your Favorite Villain, Sir Splash. He never said anything about Pennywise consuming something and pretty much absorbing the power of it or whatever he pretty much consumed. So in this case, you may as well say that Pennywise doesn't get any stronger. Okay, let's just give it a highball. Let's say that he gets even stronger, right? So in this scenario, I'm going to give Pennywise omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. Well, actually, he's really all, one or two of them. But let's give it a highball. Let's just say he's all three of them, right? Now, with Trigon. Again, Trigon was made from, according to the DC Universe, in the DC Comics, he was made from the embodiment of darkness and evil. Okay? And because he was made from the dark thoughts of all those who have lived in Azarath, he pretty much basically became a being. And to add on, he pretty much became a being of his own evil. Literally, he became a being of his own evil. So Trigon, there's this thing, Razor or something, was called the Heart of Darkness. And basically, this thing goes throughout the galaxy and cleanse the souls of those who is corrupted with darkness and evil. And what happens to that evil and darkness that gets consumed, it just goes away. didn't mean to stutter, bear with me. Like, it goes away. It's erased from existence. Okay, that evil that is ate and consumed by the heart of darkness is erased from existence. Literally, it's erased from existence. According to the DC Comics, it didn't say that. So does it mean that that has not happened? No, because it consumed the darkness and the evil of that soul to cleanse the soul. So people are wondering, what happened to the evil in the heart of darkness? It's dead. It's gone. It's erased from existence. And like, read upon the context, it said that when they put the heart of darkness on Trigon to possibly cleanse him, right? He absorbed all of the evil that was consumed out of it. He brought the evil back to life. It was erased from existence. Or if it was dead, he brought it back. He brought it back. Okay? He brought it back. He was able to bring all of that evil back and become the power, literally become the power of the heart of darkness, become the power of evil it consumed, plus what he already had. Now, pretty much you got, those YouTubers out there that's saying, oh, well, if he fight Pennywise, he's going to struggle with the grass and get choked up with the grass because Pennywise is bigger than size. That's like you're almost putting Trigon with Trigon has limits. No, he doesn't. Trigon is limitless. I mean, it literally tells you, if you read throughout all the comics, this guy stumped the Justice League. He's beaten the Teen Titans, and clearly Raven is the one and only person that can pretty much stop him. As I said earlier in the videos, if evil is omnipresent, is omnipotent, and omniscient, right? Okay, and let's just say, okay, screw this. Let's just say evil is omniversal, right? Trigon can absorb that evil, and him absorbing that evil, he has the strength of that evil. He has the speed of that evil. He has the telepathy of that evil. This is everything about him. He is the embodiment of evil, and he has everything of it. So if Pennywise was to pretty much consume the entire omniverse, okay, because he's outside of creation, he could just pretty much consume the entire omniverse, right? Let's say that he consumed the entire omniverse, right? Trigon, let's say that he even consumed Trigon. Trigon, of all the evil that is within the omniverse and all the layers of darkness that is around Pennywise, will be absorbed by Trigon, and it will literally give him the power that he absorbed from which Pennywise consumed, plus the power he already has. So it will pretty much amp him, and he will be even higher than Pennywise. Okay, let's just say Pennywise is higher than Omniversal. Then in this case, of all he done absorbed, plus with the power he already has, it makes Trigon Omniversal. And if Pennywise looked to have any more power of evil or of evil and darkness, Trigon will merge that with himself. He can increase his powers, bro. Gosh, what is it that you understand? Because I've literally said in the last video, scales. If somebody is omnipotent, it doesn't mean they are like omnipotent in all forms. Okay, if you have infinite amount of power, it doesn't mean that you're infinitely strong. You have to understand anime logic, bro. Okay, I'm gonna title this video Anime Logic versus Logic. You should not ever apply anime logic with logic if it isn't accurate in the comic book. Okay, this is our logic. According to the DC Comics, Superman flew around the world 500 times to go back in time. I might be wrong. I'm just saying he flew backwards around the entire world and went back in time. That's anime logic. This is our logic. Our logic is Once Superman goes backwards and fly across the world, he will destroy the atmosphere and kill everybody on the planet. That's our logic. The earth has to rotate in the position it's rotating in. So if Superman were to fly backwards and change the rotation of the earth, he would destroy the atmosphere and kill everybody in it. Everybody. So if you clearly understand, look at All Might. One for All is an infinite amount of power, but because it's pretty much in, All Might and Midoriya, their body has limits. Okay, so pretty much they're gonna have to train their body to use that amount of power. So if, prime example, this is scaling, right? If All Might was going to throw a planetary attack, right? He's going to have to train his body, right, to throw a planetary attack to pretty much destroy the whole planet. Okay? So he's going to have to train his arms, his legs, every ligament on his body to, you know, pretty much shoot out that amount of power, because when you use One for All, it pretty much comes out all out at one time. So when you pretty much don't train with this, using that amount of power could possibly kill you or possibly, break every bone in your body. This even explains earlier, well, that One for All was so powerful. And this is the only time I'm using feats, because I'm giving you a explanation of how you basically scale power. Now, when you're doing the verse battles, you don't use feats. But if you're giving a good explanation of how to scale power, feats are reasonable. Okay? In this feat, I'm giving you what happened to Midoriya. When Midoriya first used One for All, you know, because all of that power was coming out at one time, it broke his arm. Then it broke his leg, because that was a lot of power. It all came out of his body at one time, which is why All Might was saying that you're going to have to train your body to exercise that amount of power. So, I mean, you can't just say I'm going to use 25% of the power, because using 25% of One for All, it's all going to shoot out your body at one time. Rather, if any part of your body is going to take it, So this explains why that, it basically have One for All for one is powerful. It explains that it is infinite and it has no limits. I mean, you could say that when he was fighting, um, All Might went past 100% of his power. He went past 100% of his power, and it basically showed you, well, according to like the My Hero Academia, it never showed you how hard he basically trained, how much he basically trained to use that amount of power coming out of his body. But just know, if he wanted to destroy an entire galaxy, then he's going to have to be able to train his body at that level, at the strength of the galaxy. And that possibly may even take decades to do, decades. I mean, they can grow old and bullets does hurt them and all of this other stuff. But at the same time, they have, they got, you know, they have scales. So at this case, I don't want to lose my train of thought. At this case, right? All for One, well, One for All is an infinite amount of power. It has no limits, but the people that have the power do. So if they want to use or go to any scale, they're going to have to. So if he wants to be planetary, he's going to have to train his body to planetary. So it doesn't mean that the people that have All for One has unlimited powers. No, it means that their bodies is limited because all of that stuff is taken at one time. But my point is, omnipotence, omnipresent, omniscient has scales. You could be omnipotent, planetary, let's just say Santama's omnipotent, right? Then on the scale of destroying planets, he will be planetary. Okay, so until he fights somebody that is omnipotent on a galaxy level, right? So you may wonder, Mr. Evaluator, if you're omnipotent on a galaxy level, does that mean you could destroy a universe? I mean, not necessarily, because I just told you that the omnipotence, like having unlimited power, this is anime logic. Unless the writers had confirmed that you having unlimited power in all forms, then there's pretty much no need for a book to be written, or there's no need to continue a show or no episodes about these characters, because if they were powerful in all forms. No, the point of Saitama getting stronger is that being omnipotent planetary, he's gonna possibly fight demons or monsters that's solar system level, right? And if he's gonna have to fight them, he's gonna have to go on a solar system level of omnipotence. I mean, this is how people get basically strong. So for those of you who don't think that omnipotent is just in all forms of having unlimited power, no, there's scales to go through. And at this case, Pennywise, having all of that darkness he's consumed, all of that evil, all of the thoughts, Trigon can literally absorb. Trigon is omnipotent in his true form, and he can absorb that amount of darkness and become higher than that. Like I told you, Trigon could outpower the presence. Okay, it's just that the writers don't give Trigon a purpose, because hey, he destroyed all these freaking universes. I mean, what else there's to write about? Because in actuality, Trigon is powerful. He is the powerfulest person in the entire. He is one of the powerfulest persons in the demons in the DC universe. He is. And for those of you who don't think he is, then apparently you need to stay out of DC Comics, because I just sat here for possibly 30 minutes and just explained to you how powerful he can become. And all of that is based on darkness and evil. He is his own evil. He is his own darkness, which basically puts Trigon beyond the concept of evil and darkness. So in this scenario, bro, he's bigger than Pennywise. But let me give a low ball. Let's just say at him being that high, he's equal to Pennywise until he possibly puts dark thoughts in Pennywise's mind, and then absorb those dark thoughts and become the power Pennywise has, plus with the power he already has on top of that. So he stomps this guy, okay? And for those of you who don't understand, go back, read that capability. If you don't understand it, stay away from DC Comics. If it wasn't for this capability, then, Pennywise would beat him. Pennywise would beat Trigon. He will literally beat Trigon, bro. He will literally beat Trigon, okay? So, omnipotence, omniscient, omnipresent, all of that have a scale when it comes to anime logic. I don't understand why people use real world logic with anime logic. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense, man. It really doesn't. Like, I don't know too much about Gan, because I just made over an 18-minute video and I said that from what I assumed, that Pennywise has survived Gan's attacks. And that pretty much came from those who read the Stephen King books on several occasions. So going off of that assumption, that almost seemed like, okay, surviving his attacks, Pennywise must be higher than Gan. Okay? It doesn't mean that because I said that it makes the entire video an error. So the people that actually say stuff like that, clearly don't have no idea what they're honestly talking about, and it pretty much makes them narrow-minded. So for the people that like what the individual said, that YouTuber said, those are pretty much people, the YouTubers that really honestly don't know too much about most of their characters as well. So pretty much I could tell you that, green apples are better than red apples, but you give me a factual reason that, red apples are better than green apples. So it makes your statement flaw, regardless about the common basis of what you understand and known of green apples. Because he said that green apples are better and he put feats to it, basically made you an error. Just pretty much made, what you knew and what somebody else should know, how green apples are better than red apples. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And it's almost like people need to use black and white to actually see if it's true. Do you honestly know 98% of the people that actually think that Captain America can beat Batman is pretty much 98% of the people who don't understand Batman? This is the point about using common bases and key concepts. But people that want to be stuck up on feats all the time and real world logic, they miss the entire point. So apparently, because I told you to correct me and you actually corrected me in my video, then that make you think, oh, if I correct him in one video, that means all of his videos are flawed. Like, these are the type of people that really think they know it all. These are basically the type of people that really think that, hey, since I have this type of knowledge, I've read the whole Stephen King universe books, all of his books and all of his novels, and your video is flawed because you basically said this. I mean, no, you can't mix anime logic with real world logic. Okay, so even in the due process, I'm still doing some research about Gan, because I'm gonna put up a versus battle with him and Pennywise, um because yeah, it's a lot going on, guys. So again, for those of you who don't know and have any understanding, leave a comment below. Okay, I don't look for likes, I don't look for views, I don't even look for no subscribers, bro. Okay, I basically put these videos out, right? I put these videos out so people could really actually understand what it means to stick and use the common basis of a character. Okay? I you should understand what it means to stick with the common basis. What are they capable of? What are they capable of? How do they utilize their powers? I mean, this is what puts another character against another character. This is how you define one character is greater than the other. This is fact. And if you can't do that, but you want to stick with feats and use anime and apply real world logic with anime logic, then my good brothers and sisters, you don't know your comics. You don't know nothing about your comics. You don't know nothing about your superheroes or, anything. You don't know nothing about nothing, bro. Because if you have to use feats and apply real world knowledge with anime logic, then you have no idea what you're talking about. And you're pretty much the same old guy sitting out there on the bench wondering when you're going to get your next chocolate box. I mean, seriously, you're going to be sitting there and wondering when you're going to get your next chocolate box because you ordered exactly what you wanted on a piece of paper instead of just instead of just actually thinking to yourself and knowing what you like without just actually running through your head wondering what type of chocolate you like. instead of picking what you know that you like and actually going with it. But for those of you who have any questions or comments, or leave it on below. Okay. I don't look for likes, comments, or no subscriptions. I want people to understand how to pretty much utilize your anime characters or your comic book characters and your superheroes and supervillains. So, for those of you who don't know, watch the video. Leave a comment and a statement below. Whatever. Peace, guys.